In the last video, I talked about something really important. Learners can't learn language if they don't notice it. But noticing is only the first step, because even when learners do notice language, that doesn't mean they can process it. This is where many lessons become difficult for EAL and multilingual learners, not because the content is too hard, but because they're trying to do two things at the same time: understand the concept and decode the language. And that creates a lot of cognitive load. So in this video, I want to share a few small teacher moves that make language easier to process. Again, without adding anything extra to your lesson. My name's Jane Maria Harding de Rosa from Enriching ELT. So number one, slowing down the sentence. This is something teachers do naturally, especially when we realise learners are struggling. We simplify how we say something. So for example, instead of saying photosynthesis occurs when plants convert light energy into chemical energy, we might say plants use sunlight to make food. Or in geography, urbanisation refers to the increase in population in cities. That would become more people are moving to cities. Now, this isn't dumbing down the content. It's about reducing the language load so learners can access the idea. You can build the language back up later when they have the concept. Number two, breaking instructions into steps. Another very common challenge is instructions. We often give them all at once. What I want you to do is I want you to look at this diagram and then I want you to discuss it with your partner. And then I want you to write 2 reasons why the population increased. For many EAL learners, that's a lot to process. So instead, we need to layer it. Number 1, look at the diagram. 2, talk to your partner. 3, write 2 reasons. Same task, same thinking, but much easier to follow. There's a whole video on how to give instructions. Number 3, reducing language density. Sometimes the issue isn't the task, it's the sentence itself. Academic language often packs a lot into one sentence. So for example, industrialization led to rapid urban population expansion. That's quite dense. We can unpack it. Cities grew quickly during industrialization, or even during industrialization, more people moved to cities. Again, it's the same idea, but fewer layers of language to process. Number 4 is using pauses to support thinking. I mentioned pausing in the last video, but here it plays a slightly different role. When we pause, we're not just highlighting language, we're giving learners time to think. So for example, why do you think the Romans expanded their empire? That pause gives learners time to process the question, search for vocabulary, and organise their thoughts. Without it, we often move on too quickly. Number 5, repeating instructions with a slight variation. Another helpful move is repeating instructions, but not always in exactly the same way. So you might say, write 2 reasons why the population increased. Then, so you're writing 2 reasons. Why did the population go up? The second version often feels clearer. You're keeping the meaning the same, but adjusting the language slightly. So again, if we step back, none of these are big changes. They're small adjustments in how we speak and in how we structure our instruction, but they make a big difference because they reduce the amount of language learners have to process at one time. And I think this is really important. We don't need to simplify the curriculum. We don't need to reduce the thinking, but we do need to make the language more manageable. Because if learners are overwhelmed by the language, they can't fully engage with the content. And that's often where the gap starts to appear. In the next video, I'm going to build on this again, because once language is easier to process, we also need to think about how learners hear and use accurate language. And that's where modelling comes in. So, as always, I'm interested to know, have you noticed learners struggling more with the language or the concept? And what small changes have you found help? If you're interested in how these small shifts fit into a bigger picture of language learning, this is something I explore more through the MMM framework. I'll put the link below. See you next time. Bye.